so we're going to do a few more examples on this, make sure you understand how we do all the working for it. Okay, so the question is asking for surface area, so make sure you underline that, okay, because we're going to be doing volume as well. You don't want to be getting the two mixed up. Alright, so surface area is just adding up the areas of all the surfaces. Pretty simple. Okay, so let's start. This first one here, they're telling you it's open at the front and the back. Make sure you read any words that they're telling you. So we have no front and we have no back. Alright, so if we start off with a rectangular prism, it's normally got 6 surfaces. If you have no front and back, then you're left with 4. So we've got to add up 4 areas in the end. Okay, so we're going to start with our bottom. Okay, because we can see the bottom there pretty clearly. So it's got 65 times 48 on that rectangle. And if we multiply those out, I've already worked it out on the calculator, that's your answer. Now that's the bottom area there. Now the top is the opposite face, and we can see they're the same, so we're just going to write down what answer you're going to have, same answer. Alright, now we're over here on the right side, so we have a right rectangle over here, so we're doing length times breadth, so it's 48 times 35. And that will give you 1,680. So don't forget, like, when you're looking at this, I know it doesn't look like a rectangle, but that's because it's been drawn with depth, okay? But it is a rectangle in reality. All right, so that's the right area. The left area is the opposite face, and we can see that, just sitting in the classroom, you can see your left and right walls look the same area. Same for this, so that's going to be another 1,680. And now we're going to add up those 4 areas, remember, because there's no front and no back. So we've got 4 numbers to add up. Show me what you're adding up, don't just do it. This is part of your working. And then when you add it up, you should end up with the answer I've got down the bottom there. Alright, now the next one, we're not doing any more rectangular prisms, we're looking at a triangular prism. Here is your front base shape. Right, it's a triangle, so it's a triangular prism. That triangle at the front is the same as the triangle at the back. Okay, so we're starting with that triangle at the front. So the area is a half base by height. We've used our normal formulas for all our areas. The base is 6, and the perpendicular height is 8. And if you work that out, you get 24. The back area is exactly the same triangle, so it's also going to have an area of 24. Now the bottom area, remember, coming off each edge, you're going to have 3 rectangles. Okay, so we're up to the rectangles now. The bottom area is a rectangle. Length times breadth will be 6 times 15, or the other way around if you like, and you'll get 90. The sloping right, that's this rectangle here, like it looks like a slippery dip, okay, like a slide. That's a rectangle. Its length is 15 and its breadth is 10. So we multiply those for the rectangle and get 150. And the left is this one over here, the hidden one that it's a bit hard to see. So we've got an 8, and this bit here would be the same as this. So that would be a 15. So we have 15 by 8. And that gives you 120. So now we're going to add up all our surfaces. So remember, we've got our front and our back triangles. Then we have 3 rectangles coming off those edges. So we've got another 3, 2, 3. We've got 5 surfaces all together. Let's add them all up, write them all down. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Add them up and you get 408 metres squared. All right, the next one. Again, we have another triangular prism. There's your triangle at the front. This one has been drawn a bit differently, but you can imagine it's probably got that same triangle at the back face. So the front triangle area, so we go a half times, now be careful here, we're looking at that right angle because our base and our perpendicular height have to be connected with a right angle. So our base can be the 3.5, it's not the bottom thing, you're not going to go 3.7 for your base because that's not connected with the right angle at all. Right, so our base can be 3.5. Now our perpendicular height, right, here's your right angle. Our perpendicular height has to come off the this side. And we don't know that side. So I'm going to call it A, and we're going to find it. So how can you find that side in this right angle triangle? We're not using trig because that involves angles, remember. We are using Pythagoras' theorem because that's the only thing that connects the sides in a right angle triangle. So we're going to come over to the side here and do some working to find out that missing side. Okay, so our hypotenuse is opposite the right angle, that's 3.7. I might need a bit more room here. So we have a 3.7 here, squared equals, I'm going to keep A as A, and here's your other side, 3.5 squared. So if I just rearrange it so I have the A squared left over there, this will give me 3.7 squared minus 3.5 squared when I move this over. And that goes over to the other side. And then I'm going to work that out in a minute. I think it ends up being that for memory. I think that's right. Okay, and then we're going to square root that side, that number, so that we get the A by itself. And when you do that, you end up with 1.2. So we'll just block that off from the rest of our working so we don't get confused. Okay, so we have 1.2 for the missing side A. So I'm going to write that 1.2 up there now so we know what that number is. Okay, so we've found that here and we've put it in up there. Alright, so that's what we're going to put in here now because it's got to be at right angles to the base. So if this is your base, this is going to be your perpendicular height. So I'm just going to write it in red so you can see it was something we had to find. If you work that out, it will be 2.1. So that's the area of the front base shape. So sometimes you will need to be using Pythagoras' theorem to find missing sides. The back area, the back triangle, will be identical because this is a prism. So it's again going to be 2.1. Now the sloping left side is this, we're into the rectangles now. This rectangle here, so its length and breadth are 3.5 and 8. And if you multiply those, you'll get 28. The bottom area, now I know they're a bit difficult to see, so just be careful. The bottom of this thing is going to be 3.7 by that number there, whatever that is. Now that's the opposite of that side, so that's going to be the same, that's going to be 8 opposite that, so that's 8. So it's 3.7 times 8. If you work it out, you get 29.6. Now the hidden right side that you can't really see at all, be careful, it is a rectangle, it's going to have 8 as its length, and this will be its breadth, 1.2. I know it's a little bit difficult to see. Multiply them on your calculator and you'll get 9.6. So we should end up with 5 surfaces to work out the front, the back and the 3 rectangles, 5 surfaces. So let's write down the 5 answers. Add them all up. And you should end up with 71.4 centimetres squared. Okay, looking at the next question, we have name the prism. Okay, well, this time they've given you a net. A net is just the 2-dimensional thing that when you start to fold all the lines up, it will form a solid when you finish folding it all up. Okay, so this is what we call a net. Sometimes they'll use that word and you'll have to know what it means. Now we're naming the prism. Well, they've told you it's a prism and you can see the 3 rectangles that are joining the front and the back shapes together. So this must be our base shape. It's a triangle. So what we call it is a triangular prism. Okay, don't get confused with the rectangles. They always join the front and the back faces. We've done that before. Okay, so now we're going to find, I'm going to label these faces. So just label it like I am. Area 1, Area 2, Area 3, Area 4, Area 5. it's really easy to see your areas when it's been given as a net. You're not trying to find hidden rectangles and things. It's all just sitting there looking at you. Okay, so the net should be easy to work with. So I'm going to find area 1 first. That's a triangle, half base by height. So this time we're going to have a half times. Now, we can see there's a 24 there. That's easy. But here's your right angle. Right, so our perpendicular height is that. Now, what is that length there? Well, it's been marked with a double marking. So look for another side that's got double marking on it, and it's got a number. And here it is. So it's 45 that is. So we can write a 45 in there. And if you work it out, you'll get 540. The other one, area 2, we can go through the same working if you like, but I hope you can see that it will be the same area. You can see that the triangle itself's got double marking here. This one's got a double marking. This one's got a single marking. This one's got a single marking. And these are opposite, so they've got to be the same. It's the same triangle. They've told you it's a prism. So all over the place they're telling you they're the same. So that'll be 540. Area 3, now we're on to our rectangles. Length by breadth. Okay, so the length comes from down here. That's 72 by 24. And work that out. Area 4 in the middle here. Again, it's going to have this for the length, 72 by, they're telling you it's 45. And work that one out. And then on to area 5 down the bottom here, and that's easy, 72 by 51. And work that one out. Then we're going to add up our 5 areas. You can see clearly there's 5 areas off a net. I'm going to add them up. And if you write down all 5 of them added up, you'll end up with 9,720 metres squared. Okay, so we're going to come back with one more video just to do a couple of word problems.